So it wants me to complete the square. So I'm going to rewrite this as x squared minus 8x plus some number minus, and I'm just going to go ahead and add that to the other side. So equals 7. Sorry, is that okay? So I added 7 to add the other side, the equal sign. So what goes on my line? Well, half of 8 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, the equal sign. So I get, this factors to x minus 4 squared equals 23. Whew. And then square root it. And I get x minus 4 plus or minus, equals, let's see if I can fix this, equals plus or minus the square root of 23. And add 4 to both sides, and I get x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 23. Okay, questions? Is that okay? All right, number 2, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to add 51 to both sides. So I've got x, I need to move this down. X squared minus 14x plus some number equals 51. Half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. And I added 49, so I'm going to add 49 here. And so I get, let's see, what does this factor to? X minus 7 squared equals 100. Yeah, 100. Square root. So we've got x minus 7 equals plus or minus 10. Add 7. So x is going to equal 17 or negative 3. Nice job, Donna. And then on this one, still going to subtract 16. And I'm going to get 5x squared minus 50x plus some number equals negative 16. And before I can actually complete the square, I have to have a x squared by itself. So I'm going to factor out a 5. So I'm going to take a 5 out, and I get x squared minus 10x plus some number, which I factored 5 out of, right? I just don't know what that number is. I just already factored 5 out of it. Equals negative 16. Half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. And I had 5 of those, so that's plus 125. So I'm going to get 5 times x minus 5 squared equals 109, is that it? 125 minus 16. Yeah, 109. Okay. And then I'm going to divide by 5. And I've got x minus 5 squared equals plus or minus 109 divided by 5. Oh, I haven't taken the square root yet. Sorry. No plus or minus yet. Okay, so now square root. So I've got x minus 5 equals plus or minus the square root of 109 over 5. 109 over 5. Add 5 to both sides. And I should get x is going to equal 5 plus or minus the square root of 109. 109 divided by 5. Okay? Donna, that's probably right. 145, yeah, 45 divided, yeah, that's correct. If you rationalize the denominator, so that's fine. Either one is okay. Are we okay so far? Not too bad? Okay, so now we're going to move on to what we're talking about today, which is my favorite way to solve quadratic formula. So we've done zero product property, which says if I have two things multiplied together equals 0, then one of them equals 0, right? And we've solved by square roots. Awesome. The quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? You can solve any quadratic this way, anytime. If you prefer to use the quadratic formula, awesome. You can do it using the quadratic formula and you'll get the right answer all the time, okay? And if that's the way you want to do it, perfect. You can do it with the quadratic formula every single time, okay? So that's just how it works. But there are a lot of equations where the quadratic formula is the only way to solve it, okay? So the other ways are just the simpler ways and quicker. So today, though, we're only using the quadratic formula. So even if I could solve them the other simpler way, I am going to still use the quadratic formula so you can see how it's used, if there's missing terms or if there's anything like that, okay? So we're just going to, everything we're going to do is going to be with the quadratic formula. The first thing we need to know is that everything needs to be on the same side of the equal sign. So I have to have it that it still equals 0. Remember, when we solve anything, it has to equal 0. So I'm going to move everything to the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 10x squared, and I'm going to add 7. Add 7, and I'm going to get, what am I going to get? X squared plus 4x minus 45 equals 0. Okay. I'm gonna lie, actually. I am gonna lie. If I can, I did lie. I'm gonna say I lied. If I can solve it using one of the other easier ways to solve it, then solve it that way, okay? So I can factor this really easily and get my answer a lot faster than using the quadratic formula, okay? Because I can factor this. I can say what two numbers multiply to be negative 45 and add to be 4? Well, that should be 9 and negative 5, right? So this should factor to x plus 9 times x minus 5 equals 0. So I get x plus 9 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. So x is going to equal negative 9 and positive 5. Sorry, I should have zoomed in on that for you guys a little bit better. Okay? Nice, quick, and easy, right? So if I can solve using anything else other than quadratic formula, I'm going to, because it's quicker and easier, right? Quadratic formula does take time. So number 2, I can solve just using square roots, right? Because it's just x squared equals negative 16. Or I can factor it either way, because this is factorable. I'm going to add 16 to both sides. And I'm going to get x squared equals 16. And then you square root it, right? And I get x equals plus or minus 4. That one's the easiest. And then on the last one, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. I'm actually going to do it on this one. And the quadratic formula says this. It says if I have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then x is going to equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided, 4a, I said c and I wrote squared, 4ac all divided by 2a. Okay? So I'm just going to take a, b, and c. I'm going to write down what a, b, and c are, and then I'm going to substitute them into the formula and simplify it. Does that make sense? So a, in this case, I'm going to write it up here so I have room underneath to write. So a equals 2, b equals negative 3, and c equals 1. So I know what a, b, and c are. I pulled them right from here. Here is a, b, and c, right? So they're right there. They're just my coefficients. And now I'm just going to plug it in. So I've got x is going to equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. And that's going to equal 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 8, all divided by 4, which is going to equal 3 plus or minus the square root of 1 divided by 4, which equals 3 plus or minus 1 divided by 4. And in this case, I'm going to get 3 plus 1 divided by 4 and 3 minus 1 divided by 4, which gives me 1 or 1/2, I believe. 3 minus 1 is 2, 2/4 is 1/2. Yeah, okay. Questions? Do I need to do it again? No? Okay. So we're going to have, go ahead and do the A, B, and C first. I'm going to try and leave those. Oh, I don't know why I'm making it so I can see it on the iPad. You guys need to see it up here on the board. So try and do A, B, and C. So let's go ahead and do these 3. So I've got, oops. On the first one, I factored, so I just took an x out, and I said x times x minus 6 equals 0. So I have two things multiplied together that equals 0, right? You could apply the quadratic formula. It works also. You would just do a equals 1, b equals negative 6, and c equals 0. Okay, so if you did the quadratic formula, that's what you would use for A, B, and C. But this one's just a little faster. X equals 0 or x minus 6 equals 0. So x is going to equal 0 or 6. Okay. For the middle one, I don't know why I flipped back that way. I'm going to subtract 7, and I get x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. I'm pretty sure I can factor this to 7 and negative 1. So x plus 7 times x minus 1 equals 0. So x plus 7 has to equal 0, or x minus 1 has to equal 0. So x is going to equal negative 7 and positive 1. And then this lovely one. Distribute first, and I get 5x squared minus 5x minus 7 equals 4x squared minus 8x. So subtract 4x squared and add 8x. Subtract 4x squared, add 8x, and I'm going to get, what am I going to get? X squared plus 3x minus 7 equals 0. So A is going to equal 1, B is going to equal 3, and C is going to equal negative 7. So X is going to equal negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7, all divided by 2 times 1, which is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 28 divided by 2, which is going to equal negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 37 divided by 2. And that's it. There's my answer. Questions? We okay? Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think we've got 6 more. So let's go ahead and answer. Is that it? Yeah. Let's go ahead and answer all 6 of those if you can. And then what I'm going to do, unless you have a question on one of those. Are we on here? Oh, D. We're on D. So the answer to D would be 6 plus or minus the square root of 30 divided by 6. Now, if you need me to go over one of them, because you didn't get the same answer, let me know and I'll go over it, okay? And the Lancer to E, yes, I speak good English, is x equals plus or minus the square root of 6 over 4. And the answer for F, and all of these are done by the quadratic formula, just so you guys know. The answer for F was x is going to equal 9 plus or minus 3 square root, oh, I didn't finish this one, of 37 divided by 18. I can simplify by dividing by 3, of course. So 3 plus or minus the square root of 37 divided by 3 goes into 18, 6. There we go. Okay. I don't know why I didn't finish that one. Okay. G is x equals -3 plus or minus I square root 3 divided by 6. And H is going to be x equals, okay, -1 plus or minus I root 55 divided by 7. Woo! All right, you guys. And then the last one is 2 plus or minus x equals, I root 14 divided by 9. Is there any of those that you need me to go over? H, certainly. So I'm going to erase that, if that's okay. So we're going to go over H. So I'm going to add 2x and add 8, right? So I get 7x squared plus 2x plus 8 equals 0. And A equals 7, B equals 2, and C equals 8. So x is going to equal -2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. We okay so far? Okay. So that equals -2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 224 divided by 14. Unless I did my multiplication wrong, I'm pretty sure that's right. I mean, I did it on the calculator, but if I did it wrong, someone tell me. -2 plus or minus the square root of -220 divided by 14. And let's see, this is gonna be 4 times 55 is -220. Okay, so that gives me -2 plus or minus 2I root 55 divided by 14. And then all three of them are divisible by 2, so I get -1 plus or minus I root 55 divided by 7. Okay? All right. Any other questions or any of them that you guys need me to go over? Where was it that was wrong? What happened, Leslie? Was it the 224?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, you know what, let's just double check to make sure that's right, because that's what I got, but you know, we might as well double check it, right? So 4 times 7 times 8, 4 times 7 times 8. Yeah, 224. Okay. All right, you guys, that's it. So how do you feel about the quadratic formula? I know you've done it like your junior year and your sophomore year for sure, and then your junior year we reviewed it, and now we're reviewing it again. So that's why I didn't spend like a whole lot of time going over it, because this is your third year doing the quadratic formula. So it is really, really a review. So hopefully it was okay. You